And it begs the question, is it essential? Hey guys, what's up? Welcome or welcome back. It's Care, also known as pens.inks.icedcoffee across various social media platforms. Today, we have a new pen day. I ordered this pen from Leonardo Italiana, like the actual Leonardo website in Italy. From Italy, not in Italy, but from Italy. Because I saw this beautiful, beautiful pen. And I simply couldn't help myself. Now, there are a couple of features and reasons that made me buy this. Number one is the name. And it begs the question, is it essential? Because this is one of Leonardo's Essentia. Opening the box, we have the little owner's manual, if you will. Has details about the pen, the brand, and warranty information. We have a little bottle of ink. It's the Asa Blue. I have so many bottles of this ink, of like the Leonardo inks that come with pens that are still literally in the plastic packaging. And of course, the reason we're all here today, the pen itself. What we have here is the Leonardo Essentia, meaning the essential pen. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh, she's stunning. This is in the silver abalone, and it features, and one of the reasons I purchased it, it features their stainless steel size 8 nib. Now I got mine in a medium, and it's rose gold toned. It's not actually rose gold, but rose gold toned, and it is stunning. So what we'll do is we will do our little ink swatches for potential matches, an ink menu of sorts, if you will. And while that's drying, we will take a closer look at the specs of this pen and the pen itself in general. We'll pick an ink, we'll ink it up. I'll give you a short writing sample, and then we'll go over any pros and cons. Now, the ink I really want to put in here is Octopus Fluids Pebble Stone. But I know it is a very dry ink, and I don't know how well that would go, and I really want my first writing experience to be like nice and smooth. So until I get a feel for how that ink, or I'm sorry, how the nib performs, because this is my first time with one of Leonardo's size 8 stainless steel nibs, I'm going to just stick with inks that I know are good, well-flowing inks. So I'll do it kind of my typical way. The first ink is Venta's Mascara. Obviously, I cannot go in a straight line, but that's okay. That'll be pretty. Then we have Color Versus Erebus Crater. Ooh, that swatch is weird. This one is a little dry as well, but not quite as dry as Pebble Stone, so I think we can make this one work. Hopefully. Next up, we have Van Diemen's Graceful Pirouette. Beautiful kind of pinky rosy tone. Thought this could be a nice complement to the tones in the pen. Kind of went a little broad on that one. I think I spelled that right. And the final ink for consideration is Diamine's Lady Grey. I kind of felt like Lady Grey would be a really great match too, because it's kind of gray and also kind of purple, but in the abalone, as with actual abalone, you can see like some pink and some green and some yellow and some orange. So like it has many, many, many different tones in it. And I kind of wanted to have a lot at my sort of disposal, if you will, to choose from. Lady Grey. Oh man. I kind of wish I wouldn't have picked the ones I did, because I really want to put them all in there. I feel like they all would look so good. They're not dry yet, but at the moment, I'm probably most closely leaning towards Erebus Crater. Because when the light's not hitting it, I feel like it's almost a perfect match. When the light hits it and you can see some different dimension, it kind of changes things a little bit for me. Now, one consideration with Erebus Crater, though, is I'd have to put it in an ink miser to use it, because the nib's not going to fit in the opening of the little Colorverse bottle. So that is one area for consideration. We'll let these dry. We'll take a closer look at the pen. I will include the little graphic on the left side of the screen for comparison to some other kind of more popular pen models. And in a few moments, I will also compare it to two different Leonardo models, just so you have a frame of reference. This pen capped is about 15 centimeters, or right at 6 inches. Uncapped, we're at about 14 centimeters, 5.5 inches. And posted, it does post rather securely. So-so. Again, you know my stance on posting. I don't post it. That makes it a huge pen. And it will exceed my abilities of my calipers, but let's see if we can do it anyway. So we have... Ooh. I'm measuring it to the threads, because that's kind of an easy point to go from. So we have about 13 centimeters. And then from the threads to the tip of the nib, we have about another 4 centimeters. Well, we'll round that up to 5. So we'll say it's about 18 centimeters in length while posted. The thinnest point of the grip section is about 1.2 centimeters. And the thickest is about 1.25. So rounding up 1.3 centimeters. The capped weight of this pen is about 32.5 grams. Uncapped, we have about 23 grams. Here we have it compared to the Leonardo Momento Magico. This one is the Julia Here collaboration with Papa J Studios and Endless Pens, their Hatch Creative program. And over here we have it compared to the Momento Zero Grande 2.0 in Dahlia Eveline. Here's an uncapped comparison. So as we can tell, the Momento Magico is considerably smaller. The overall dimensions and body of the Memento Zero Grande 2.0 are very similar. One big difference, there is no ink window on the Essentia model. Also, and I'm not sure if this is coming up super clearly on the camera or not, but the grip section of the Essentia is much more tapered, sort of an hourglass shape. So we're wider here, we taper in, and it's wider here again towards the nib. Here there's a bump, and here there's a bump before you get to the nib, but it's not quite so dramatically tapered. In terms of length, the Essentia looks like the longest, or is the longest of the three. It's only a hair longer than the Memento Zero Grande 2.0. The body itself looks a good bit wider as well. To the bare eye, I would say the grip dimensions are very similar on these two. The grip dimensions on the Momento Magico are smaller. Looking at the pen itself in a little bit more detail, and I have it at this angle so that the light hits it right for you to see kind of the luminescence of the colors, or the tones of the luminescence probably is the better way to say that. But it is stunning. You see some yellow, some blue, some green, some orange. You really have, it's like a Skittles pen. You can really taste the rainbow with this one. So, so pretty. And then when the light is not really hitting it, it's kind of got a, well, I guess that's a good angle too. Excuse me, ma'am, do you have a bad angle? There we go. So if you look kind of back here, it kind of has a gray, green, kind of taupey color to it when the light's not hitting it. But as you can see, it's almost difficult to get that color to show up, especially in brighter lighting. It is rose gold trim, and the reason that this is named the Essentia or the Essential pen is because there are only metal bits, or the only metal on this pen are the essential metal parts, which would be the clip and then the nib. There is no metal detailing back here at the piston mechanism. There are no cap bands. There's nothing from the thread transitioning into the grip section, unlike the other two Leonardo models that I've shown you. And I'm just going to compare it really quickly again to the Momento Zero Grande 2.0. There are lots of different metal detailings on here. So you have the clip, you have cap bands, you have the, like back here at the piston mechanism. When you uncap this one, you have it at the ink window. So there's lots of kind of metal accenting on this one. However, on this one, you only have two parts with metal accents, at least that are visible. I'm not sure about the internal mechanisms because you can't see those, but you have the clip and you have the nib. Those are the only metal parts that are on this pen. Let's see how many turns it takes to open this pen. So I'll keep my finger here and spin the cap. It's just over one full turn to uncap the pen. This does feature a size 8 stainless steel nib. So the Dahlia Eveline, the Memento Zero Grande I showed you, features their 14 karat nib. This is a size 8 stainless steel nib. It does still have an ebonite feed. I double checked. It's not plastic. It is an ebonite feed. But the actual nib itself is a rose gold toned stainless steel. I would have loved to have gotten this in an Architect, but they offered like extra fine, medium, broad, stub, and I think a medium cursive smooth italic. They may have had a fine flex, I don't recall. And now we have the ever difficult task of choosing which ink to put in the pen for the first time. The Venta Mascara is coming up a bit more blue on the viewfinder, so I'm assuming it will when I go to edit the video as well. But the blues that you see here are much more of a purple blue rather than a baby blue like it's appearing. The shading of pink is very accurate. It's a beautiful color, and I feel like it would match very, very nicely, but not singing the right song for me today. Erebus Crater would be one that if I was going to use this in low light situations where I wasn't going to get a lot of the kind of reflective nature of all the colors, would probably be perfect. Because when the light is not on this, when I'm like looking at it kind of like from this side, It's kind of got a green, taupey, grayish quality to it. So Erebus Crater would probably match it quite well. And I still think it's pretty, but number one, I only have the 15 ml bottle, so I would have to use an ink miser with it, and I'm not interested in having to wash my ink miser after the video. So it's out for that reason. But also, too, I want something that's going to really enhance the tones I see on the pen. Graceful Pirouette is beautiful. I love kind of the gray color, like the gray chromo shading you see in here. This is a medium nib. I don't know how much of that chromo shading will come through, but I am very tempted to do Graceful Pirouette. And then Diamine Lady Gray. It's kind of an obvious choice to me because you have the pinky purple chroma shading and the gray purple tones of the ink itself. I do feel like I couldn't go wrong with either of these. Oh man, the way that pink's hitting with the Graceful Pirouette right under it. Ooh, that's pretty. But then also the purple blue will hit down near Lady Gray. This is such a difficult choice. Oh, they're all stunning. Stunning. Okay, but I have to make a choice. We're going to go with Diamine Lady Gray. So I'm just going to do some ink dots kind of all around the page. Probably ruin my other spread in doing so, honestly. I usually do. And I realize that I could just move the ink bottle. That would just make too much sense. So we'll smush these around. I should have also put a clip over here. Man, it's like my first time filming today. What's that Madonna song? Like a Virgin? Touched for the very first time? Filming for the very first time? Although I guess that would have a very different connotation when referencing that song. You know what? Strike that from the record. Let's see how we go with filling. So I will submerge up to the grip section. You need to cover at least the breather hole, which is this piece here. Little hole right there. I always find it best because the actual like suction mechanism of the filling is back here where the feed meets the grip section. So I generally will submerge all the way to the grip section. So we're going to turn it to bring the piston down. And this one you actually can tell. So like on some of my piston fillers, you can't quite tell. This one you can see that it is open. And I'm just anticipating having to do this a couple of times to get a decent fill. That's usually the case for me, is kind of advancing, pulling it up, turning it the other way, and then doing it again. Feels like there's a lot of, and I'm just going to expel a little bit of ink here. It does feel like there's a lot of capacity in this. It felt like I had to turn the piston mechanism kind of a lot to get it to close back, if you will, which leads me to believe that there's probably a decent capacity in there. I'm going to tilt this to make it easier to write with. Let's see how we get on. We have a new pen day. Okay. It feels firmer than their 14 karat nibs do, but it's smooth. We have the Leonardo, the Senzia model. It's in a medium nib. I'm just going to put number 8 here to indicate that it's different than their typical nibs. The color is Silver Abalone. It's a very comfortable writer. And you know, I think I rather like not having that bump right here. It is kind of sharp if you press on it, but I kind of just press towards the edge of it with my finger. And sometimes that bump is annoying. I think I might like this better, honestly. The ink we went with for this one is Diamine Lady Gray. very comfortable grip section. And it's a very comfortable weight in the hand as well. Now I will have to kind of look at the nib under magnification. It feels like maybe it's catching a little bit as I'm writing. So up and down seems fine. Left to right is good. Right to left feels a little draggy. So I'll have to look at it under a microscope and see. It could also be that the ink hasn't necessarily, because if you recall, I dumped out some ink, so I would have sucked up air after I did so. So it may just kind of still be resaturating the feed perfectly. I do find that happens sometimes. This pen is just stunning. Honestly, I love this thing. I've been waiting to ink it up. I was out of commit. I received this in early March, but I was a little out of commission, ended up having kind of an unplanned surgery. So I wasn't really able to do as much. And now that I'm on the mend, kind of back at least 90% capacity, I just couldn't wait to ink this up. I couldn't wait to get use out of it. So if I were to kind of pick apart the pen to point out any cons, whether that be personal or kind of across the board, a personal con for me is that it doesn't have an ink window. I knew that when I bought the pen. It wasn't like it showed one but doesn't come with one. It wasn't anything like that. I knew it didn't have one when I purchased the pen. But I do like ink windows. Now, it may have been a lot more difficult to do that and still keep kind of the Essentia body where you don't have metal anywhere else, because I'm assuming that to fasten the clear acrylic, especially in with this pen, that may be more difficult. Another, I wouldn't call it con as such, but another consideration is that it's kind of difficult to get the veining to match up perfectly. So, I can get it kind of close on sometimes, and then others, if I don't get it just right, the veining doesn't really match up that well. It doesn't bother me personally, honestly, because there's so many other beautiful colors happening. But I know that some people really prefer their pens have matched up kind of veining to it. So see here, I was able to get this one to kind of match up, but none of the others really do. So again, personal preference. It doesn't bother me, like the veining not really matching, but some people that might bother. So just to give a full overview, that's a consideration. Final thoughts on the pen. Stunner. Absolutely beautiful pen. I love it so much. The colors are beautiful. The craftsmanship is beautiful. Everything about it is what I hoped it would be. One piece of information I don't think I've mentioned about the pen is this is a cellulose acetate body. So you have like acrylic, you can have your acrylics, acrylic resins, your like epoxy made pens, all similar. Celluloid, of course, there are like your brass and metal, titanium, etc. pens, aluminum. This one is a celluloid or cellulose acetate. I think is the modern celluloid. They're cellulose acetate. But that could be a pro for you, a con for you, or you could be indifferent to it. Celluloid does require you store it in a temperature controlled kind of drier place with airflow. You don't want to put it in an airtight container. You don't want to expose it to high heats or super humid climates long term. It's not really something I consider heavily because all of my pens, when not in use, get stored in a like an acrylic storage, like drawers situation. There are air holes in them. My pens stay in a climate controlled room. In that they're inside of my home. Like they don't have their own climate room. If I could get my husband to agree to build me a climate room for my pens, I 100% would. But they're stored in normal, dry, average, everyday conditions. It is slightly more humid because I'm in Florida, but not to the point of damaging the pen. The pros are long. I love the body. The body is actually very comfortable. I need to use it more, but so far, first impression, this is probably my favorite Leonardo body I've tried. I will definitely pick up more in this body style. There's actually 2 others that I want. I think one of them is the Magnolia and one of them is the Cappuccino. So I actually am actively looking to pick up one of those 2. Probably the Magnolia because it looks really interesting. But that said, I think this is probably the most comfortable body of any of the Leonardos I've tried. And I have a fair few. I have Momento Zero Grande 2.0, Momento Magico. And I have another one, but I can't remember the body name off the top of my head. Again, another not con, but consideration is that it doesn't have an ink window. So if that's super important to you, you won't find it here. It's also not transparent enough to see if you still have ink. Like I keep thinking like, oh, well, maybe I can turn it just so and see if I have ink. There's like a couple spots right back here where I can, which is great. I mean, that serves the purpose, right? But there's not like a huge space to see through it that you could say, oh, okay, I need to refill or, no, I have a ton of ink. Is there a flow issue? Anything like that. Again, the only other real con that I could point out is getting the veining to match up correctly. It seems like I did an okay job here, but sometimes it's more difficult when you're just trying to quickly get your cap back on. The veining on this one, as a side note, is giving me strong like S vibes from the 90s. You know what I'm talking about? Where like you had the 3 lines up top, 3 lines on the bottom, and you would connect them to make an S, and cool kids, obviously like myself, all us cool millennials out there, would make it into Smile, especially this one. Here, let me show you what I mean. I'm telling you this as though I don't have a method of showing you just beneath. Like the little... that thing. The veining on this gives me strong like Gothic S vibes. I think that's called a Gothic S. Especially right in there. Anyway. Had to share that with you. I don't know if that's a pro or a con. It's a pro for me because I like anything that reminds me of like nostalgic 90s. Let me know what your ink choice would have been for this pen. Would you have picked something else I have, or would you have picked something in your own collection? I'd love to hear it because I'm always open to suggestions for the next time this gets inked up. Have you tried any of the Leonardo Essentia models? If you have, which one, and what do you think of it? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love it if you liked this video. If you want to take more new pen days, ink swatches, stationery hauls, hit that subscribe button. There's always a ton more where this came from. I hope you're having a most beautiful day wherever you are in the world. Be kind to yourself, be kind to one another, and stay classic. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys!